What's up, y'all? Crystal here. I got some woo thoughts that I have to get out. I don't, especially not lately, I haven't felt very compelled to engage a lot when you read things on the internet that make you mad. Um, I try to just keep on squirreling. Otherwise, my Twitter feed would just be me fighting with everybody, and there are plenty of other Twitter feeds that do that. And I don't want that to be my Twitter feed. But anyway, I digress. There was a post that came up today that bothered me enough I'm not even just tweeting because I couldn't get it all out in Twitter's character limit. I'm actually gonna make a little video above it, and it was this. What side am I gonna put the graphic on? I'm gonna put it up here. Words are gonna be hard. Let me give you guys a chance to read it. Okay. God, where to start? Okay. Listen. Who you choose to kick out of your life for whatever reasons is completely, it's up to you. I wouldn't, or kick plenty of people out of, well, not plenty, I act like there's a big long list, but I've kicked people out of my life before. That just, I was just done. It was just enough. It was just enough for what they believed in or things that they said, done, whatever. Like, you have to set those boundaries and protect your peace and your bubble and all that. So this, that, and the other. But, and this is mostly directed at leftists. Because, look, I'm liberal as fuck. Woke, I hate that fucking word, as fuck. Anybody who knows me knows this. But I'm also a very deeply spiritual person. And what I see happening, and I mean, it's not the first time, won't be the last time, but be very careful that you don't become the monster that you're fighting against. Be very, very careful about that. And this isn't a both sides thing. This is more of a, let's touch upon the graphic that I showed you and the quote and the guy. QAnon, I'm pissed off about for a bazillion reasons, all of them really justified because it was bullshit, but also because QAnon gave conspiracy theorists such a bad, like, conspiracy theorists have been made fun of since time fucking began. Okay. But, quote unquote, true, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's just the word I'm going to use because I don't have a better word. Conspiracy theorists go to QAnon boards and laugh because none of it made sense. And a lot of people think that when people believe in conspiracy theories, it's because they pull illogical things out of nowhere. And trust me, I've read some weird shit. I've read some amazingly, hilariously weird shit. But any true conspiracy theorist could pick apart the QAnon bullshit, and it absolutely was bullshit. I mean, I threw so many questions out. I had a friend of mine on Twitter who was believing about the election being stolen and this, that, and the other, and I was just critical thinking questions throwing at him. I'm like, okay, if you believe this and if you want to prove it this as a conspiracy theorist, these are the things you have to do. The moral of the story is that real conspiracy theorists have such a depth of critical thinking skills because you have to, because you're unraveling research and you're looking for whistleblower testimony and you're trying to maybe find patterns that aren't there or just patterns that haven't been connected yet because it's so hard to prove a conspiracy. Now think about all the conspiracy theories of time that have been proven true and just think about how long it took us to get to the truth. But I digress. Anyway, QAnon, fucking bullshit. QAnon was dangerous. QAnon was literally dangerous because it was made up of a bunch of fucking white supremacist assholes who wanted to incite violence and literally overthrow an election by force. That's a lot. There's such a huge gap between QAnon and someone believes that Scorpios are the signs of, like, mystery and sex and death and we get hella jealous. Or like Leos are really like flamboyant sometimes and egotistical and like to be showy, or that Geminis are just confused. I love you, Geminis. I'm playing. Like there's a whole big difference than I, look at the astrology weather to find out, whether or not people are going to be a little fucking crazy today, or, during Mercury retrograde, I just make sure to back up my computer because, shit usually happens during a Mercury retrograde, which it does, but I digress. It's a whole big difference between that and QAnon. We're a bunch of white supremacists, fucking Nazis, trying to overthrow an election. And then, I believe that maybe people go a little crazy during a full moon, or that if I, look at my astrology chart, I can find a guide to kind of take advantage of certain energies for the betterment of myself and society. And it's a whole, I don't know how we go from here to here, but okay. Anti-vaxxers. Oh, fuck. Okay. Fuck me. Okay. So, science for me, and I'm not a scientist. Everybody knows I'm not a scientist, but I have scientist friends, and they're great, and I love them. They are. Like, one scientist friend of mine, she's wonderful. We talk about woo-woo shit all the time, and she brings, like, this amazing, like, science. It's so good. Anyway, science to me is this beautiful, ever-changing thing. Like, science will know something on Tuesday and then do what science is supposed to do. Always question itself. Always, test the hypothesis or the theory or the thing that it knows. And then as we get smarter and as technology grows and we as a society hopefully evolve, even though it feels like we as a society just keep de-evolving. But again, I digress. It's supposed to say the thing that I knew on Tuesday, I have found out on Friday is incorrect, and now I know this thing. That is science to me. So take that into account, and then take into account that trust in corporations, big pharma, government, politicians is like, boo, for good reason. Like, we all know, like, fuck, justice, shit, systematic racism, like, all the problems, like, people can't get fucking insulin for the right fucking price. Motherfuckers got GoFundMe's out because we can't afford health insurance, like, all that kind of tied around to medicine. And it's no surprise that when this vaccine came out, people were like, now, I talked to scientific people. I was like, when it first came out too, I was like, then you talk to people. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be like, all right, I don't know shit about science. I don't know shit about vaccines. I can't do my own research on this. You can't do your own research on a topic that you don't understand. Like, whatever. There's a lot of things we can try to do our own research on. There's like esoteric topics and like conspiracy theory topics and shit that's kind of in your wheelhouse. And when you get to things in your wheelhouse that are just too far outside of your wheelhouse, then you have to talk to people who fucking have some experience in that. And that's what you're supposed to do. But anyway, I digress again. So the moral of the story is that, like, I understand why there was hesitance. And I understand why people questioned, especially people of color who are, there's a whole history there with them being used as fucking test subjects. So there was reason for a lot of people to be cautious. And I saw a lot of just fucking do it, which isn't the best response, but I also get where the just fucking do it came from because people were scared. Anyway, the moral of the story is you get the fucking vaccine because vaccines work, and I have fucking vaccinated because I just fucking did it. I went and talked to like 2 of my fucking sciencey friends. I was like, yo, ask some questions, like these kind of things that concern me, like what's up? And I trust them because they don't fucking lie to me. So hey, and they know stuff, so whatever. You gotta fucking roll the dice sometimes and take it. But anyway, haven't caught COVID. Knock on wood. I knocked and I disturbed Dio, the dog. Everybody say hi to Dio, the dog. Hey, stop. Everything's fine. Thanks. Good job. Okay. Moral story being, we live in a system that is corrupt as hell. Don't roll your eyes. Everybody knows it. Politicians lie to us. Governments lie to us. Corporations lie to us. Big Pharma lies to us. So for us to blindly accept the words of these entities can be a hard pill to swallow. Or it becomes easier if the party that you support is in power. And then you assume that just because y'all the same color, blue, red, you're not being lied to anymore. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, the moral of the story is all these entities do in fact lie to us all the time, so it can be very hard for us as individuals to try to find our truth, and that is further complicated by the fact that our own internal biases will color said truth. So it is an ongoing fucking quest journey to belief, truth, whatever. Point being, we have to stop stopping people from questioning. That's bullshit. Number 1. And number 2, you need to be very careful about the fences you want to put up and the people that you want to keep out because of what they believe. Because it's real easy to say, this belief is harmful because of whatever your reason is. and put up that wall and start doing all the horrible things that come when you block out people who don't believe the same things that you do. So if you're going to block somebody or cut somebody out of your life because you're lumping them in with QAnoners and anti-vaxxers, you do you, boo. But I think that's fucked up. I think that's deeply fucked up, especially because, and this is what I feel like is lacking in modern day science's imagination. Especially when you look at how fucking magical quantum physics is. And I have a very layman's understanding of quantum physics and quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement and all that fun shit that science is just now figuring out. It sounds a whole lot like magic to me. But I digress. Sounds like the reason for a lot of this pseudo-sciencey stuff. But again, I digress. Point being that just because science hasn't explained something, or hasn't had the tools, or hasn't even taken the time to actually do real scientific studies on something, doesn't make it untrue. It's not on astrology to prove itself. People who believe in astrology believe in astrology. You don't believe in astrology and come to me like, I gotta prove to you astrology is real. No, actually I don't. I sure the fuck don't. Is go get your birth chart read by a real astrologer, and when they tell you all these things about yourself, then you can come back to me and tell me that astrology isn't real. That's fine. You don't have to requirement, your belief is not a requirement. It's not. But when you're cutting people out of your lives or dumping people in, oh god, I can't even. The reason that I think a lot of pseudoscience hasn't been proven to be quote unquote true yet is because A, I don't think science has the tools yet to be able to prove it, and B, they just don't take it seriously enough to do the scientific study. So for us to just be saying, it's not true, ghosts not true, the paranormal's not true, all this shit is not true, it's not true, it's not true. Prove it. If it's not true, prove it. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. Maybe we are all fucking crazy and it's not true. Prove it. Do we have the scientific tools available to be able to find out where in the body exists my soul? Do we have the scientific tools available to find out what exactly happens when I die? Do we? No. So does it mean that if someone has a near-death experience or believes that when I die I become a ghost, it's not true? Science doesn't have the tools to measure that yet. So you saying it's not true, I don't know if that's right. I think it might be unproven. But there's a lot of evidence that disagrees with that. Sure, it's a lot of it's anecdotal, because again, where are the tools for us to measure this? Where are the tools for us to say this is false? This is 100% not what happens. Where are those tools? Be careful. Be very, very careful that now, just because we've got problematic people, that we then don't lump people who have always kind of existed on the fringes, thank you, word, fuck, god damn it, on the fringes of society. We don't say, okay, now you gotta go too. Because we don't want you in our cool kids, must be scientific, must believe this, must have this line of thinking, little bubble. Be careful. That's a really dangerous path to go down. I mean, that's how the right started, right? That's how it started. They were just like, we just don't like these people because of all of these reasons that we have. I don't know, you're like really triggered right now. Leftists really fucking triggered right now. Don't lump me with the fucking racists and don't do that both sidesism shit. Okay. Well, don't you do it either. Be careful. That's it. I'm done rambling at y'all. I'm just saying, I'm gonna take my fucking oracle cards and my fucking magic and all my goddamn and my woo-woo books. I got so many woo-woo books. I'm like, yo, let me learn how to be rich. But then let me cast some fucking spells about how to be rich. Don't even, anyway. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna go take my puppy for a walk. Y'all have a wonderful fucking day. Meditate, motherfuckers. Meditate. I'm done. Bye.